Hey, what's up, guys? I like these images of America books. They're very useful for I don't know what you would call an urban civilizational decline fetish of mine. Seeing photos of women with big hats and corsets and men with suits and mustaches walking around areas that are now absolutely drug destroyed ghettos. But I want to be positive here with a subject near and dear to my heart, beer, particularly the Yuengling Brewery, the famous Yuengling Brewery, the oldest still existing brewery in the United States. Started in 1829 in the city of Pottsville, the capital city of Schuylkill County, and coal country. And yeah, enjoy looking at this book, seeing the history of it. There's even a foreword by Dick Yuengling. Right? Now, Yuengling beer, of course, in terms of independent brewery, it has been. They are family owned to this day. They've never been bigger. They literally are in this chaos of friggin' century or more of calamity. They are a success story. They're bigger than ever, and they make pretty good beer. Okay, and there is the originator. There he is, David Gottlieb Yuengling, right? Yuengling is almost like a Chinese name if you'd separated the Ying and the Ling, but came here in 1828, moved to coal mining country, right? The Molly Maguire country, and opened a brewery. And the rest is history. Now, there's the photos. Just I always like the photos, but you see the original brewery still stands, and you see all the photos of when they used to do this with the. You got all these tough-looking dudes with the mustaches. I keep saying, you had those dudes around. The things would be different. Originally, it was called the Eagle Brewery, but eventually, they took the name Yuengling. So there's great photos. It's interesting. They actually made the caves underneath that they made to lager to store the beer. They made those caves. They dug it out of the rock. So amazing. And go here. Interesting. There's the family there. Generations, 5 generations going back. Now it's interesting to see. I didn't know this, and it's ironic because I'm a weird. I don't have a typical upbringing in certain ways. Let's see if you can see that. I gotta keep doing this. Trying to do this no hands up. Manhattan Brewery. What? Look, they're delivering to Mount Vernon, New York. That's Westchester County. The Yuengling Manhattan Brewery in the 1880s. Look at this schematic, man. Look at that. It looks like a battleship or something. Some kind of utopian. Well, I'll get to that later, but I didn't know this. But in the 90s, I've lived almost a third of my life in Pennsylvania, going back and forth to New York, and I remember seeing Yuengling beer and telling people back in New York about it. Never heard of it. And then I remember when it finally came, kind of like in the late 90s. It was big with the hipsters. They were like really big on Yuengling, which is ironic because now they boycott Yuengling because they dare. Dick had the temerity to support Trump back in 2016. Right? I have to bring that up because they literally did it. It's funny, I didn't know. As you can see here, there's the brewery in New York City. I think Frederick Yuengling in the 1800s, in the fin de siècle period, actually bought and made a brewery in Manhattan. So Yuengling had existed, the beer had existed in New York City. So when in the 90s, when it finally came over, because of all the hipsters moving into Williamsburg and whatnot, it was returning to New York. I thought that's interesting. Didn't know that. Gambrinus, the patron saint of beer. So anyway, on that note, let's see. Look at this is like the turn of the century. Look at that vat. Look at those the equipment, the copper brew kettles. Look at this. But I wonder if Boilermakers made those, like my grandfather. Oh, look at that, man. It looks like something from science fiction. Well, that was the time, right? And speaking of science fiction, you always see these right? Factory scene lithographs were a common form of industrial advertising during the turn of the 20th century. You get these big utopian Belemite, if you know the reference. You get these big utopian-looking city-like breweries producing huge amounts of beer for the working man, the industrial nation, the rising country in the Gilded Age. If you think of the Poth Brewery that was in West Philadelphia, you think of I think of Neweiler, the brewery which still, its abandoned relic still stands in Allentown, where my mother grew up before urban renewal chased them out. And that area is really run down now, but the brewery is still there. No one's ever bought it, but I love this kind of utopian optimism, producing the liquid of industry, which is beer, right? You can argue the agrarian slave drink of agrarian civilization, but I mean, come on, it is Frederick, right? Met the girl in Brooklyn, so again, she guarantees she didn't have the accent I had. Upper class people didn't have that. So anyway, and you get to see the cool advertisements. Let me pan out. The ale. Now the thing too at Yuengling, which is interesting, is you see lagers begin to dominate. The German style beer begins to dominate. It's very popular, very refreshing. Also, you have a lot of German, the forgotten European stock of America, which is actually the majority stock. Of course, only for now. But they still made ale. They still made porter in particular as part of the history. So get the cool advertisements, the paintings. There you go. A little further in. Yeah, okay, this is the big deal here. This is why American beer really takes a hit. Prohibition comes. Yes, the land of the free. You couldn't get alcohol. You couldn't legally drink any alcohol for 13 years. Okay, after getting 100,000 guys dead for a stupid fucking war. Anyway, come on. So they started making like malt drinks, non-alcoholic beer. Okay, porter, right? The famous porter. But eventually they had to switch because people, they had to start making ice cream. I remember hearing about this. So they switched. Yuengling was able to adapt. I mean, that prohibition killed God knows how many of those breweries. But Yuengling survived, making, like I said, the malt energy drinks of the time, the non-alcoholic beer, and the ice cream. So brewing returns. FDR actually did something good, believe it or not. He ended prohibition. Smart man. He knew he had to get people. He had to give something to someone, the people he was about to throw into a world conflict. And they actually sent a case of winter beer, but some of it was stolen on the way. Obviously, the porter still exists. I don't know what the winter beer was, but we'll get it through. I don't want to take up forever here, but I mean, this is a great topic. I mean, beer is a great topic. So you see now, you see all the advertisement with these the ladies are all made up, and we got a very politically incorrect by today's standards one here, which I won't focus in on because I'm against that. Right. Okay. The one of the things about Yuengling too that I think is very important is that Yuengling beer is a snapshot in time. Okay, so the Chesterfield Ale. I mean, the Chesterfield Ale, like I said, is more full-bodied, reminiscent of the company's pre-prohibition ales. This was the hoppiest beer you could find. Okay, this gives you a sample of what the ale was like back in the 19th century, as well as the beer, the premium beer. Okay, which they still make, which is actually one of my favorite Yuengling beers. You only get it in Pennsylvania, the premium beer. But the beers are a snapshot in time. Okay, the Chesterfield Ale shows you what it was in terms of what the old ales were like in America because they were still making them when everyone had stopped. Same thing with the premium beer. It's very clean tasting beer, very much like a Helles lager, right? But the most famous snapshot in time, and I remember this. see if I can find it, is this, the Yuengling Porter. When in the 90s, the only dark beers you had, obviously Guinness imported, but one of the few dark beers you had, I think Heineken made a dark beer at one point. This was the only one you had in America. Okay, Yuengling's Porter was the only porter, pretty much, at least that I saw. They might have had some in other areas regionally, but I had never seen this black beer called porter. Well, Yuengling kept making it, and it's still successful. It's still sold today. The Black and Tan is one of my favorite beers. Big seller. Black and Tan is mixing the porter with the premium beer. Okay, now everyone knows the lager beer, the Yuengling lager. I like it, but I prefer the premium beer. I think that's the best, one of the best beers they make. Anyway, and just a great thing. Great look at history. So the other beer, the brand Bavarian beer, they actually bought the brewery. Oh, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, the Yuengling, they still didn't, obviously the brewery they had in Manhattan was long gone. So they kind of went back to Pottsville, or the Pottsville remained. But interesting that now they are more, and there's Dick when he was younger, now they are more popular than ever, right? Spreading throughout there. Look at those caverns, look at those tunnels. Oh, we don't want to talk about tunnels, do we? Not now. Oh, yeah, they were putting beer in there. That's what they were doing. And I have never done the brewery tour. We're gonna do that this fall with the special guest who you will see, but not now. Anyway, look at the vats now. Anyway, I gotta finish this up. Definitely gonna visit it. And here's the thing. Here's the they're so big that they actually have more than one brewery. They have, there's a famous one here in Tampa, right? So the Florida, the Yuenglings everywhere in Florida, and yeah. So that's let's see. I remember the Bach beer. I don't think they make the Bach beer anymore, but I liked it. I like the Oktoberfest beer too. You know? I like this. Hey, look at this dude. The porter. See. And there's the four daughters now. I think Dick has retired, so now they're running the show. There's the Oktoberfest. I'm sorry for the framing. I'm trying to do something a little different here. Tripod. And there's the beers. I'll go through them right here. The premium beer is one of my favorite beers. The porter is really, really good. The Black and Tan is a mix of the previous two, right? They used to do that, right? The lager, this is the famous amber one. This is the one that I remember drinking when I was younger in the 90s. It's a good beer. It's actually a great beer, but like I said, I prefer the Yuengling or the Black and Tan or the porter, but it's good beer. It's good beer. So, and the Yuengling light lager is pretty good. Probably one of the darkest light beers you're going to see. Okay, one of my buddies, that's one of his favorite beers. The Chesterfield Ale, I'm telling you, this is a hoppy beer. Really hoppy beer. And Yuengling Light, I'm trying to remember what that one is. I think it's the light version of the premium. Of course, they have the Oktoberfest. They have the Golden Pilsner. I'm doing like an advertisement for them. So, great beer. Is it as good as the German beer? Imported German beer is the best beer in the world, my friend. Okay. Is it better than a lot of the microbreweries? I'll put it up there. This is still working man beer. This is still refreshing beer. This is a common man beer. Okay, this is the real America. This is the damn America that should have been. And their roots are in the 19th century. That should show you. Like I said, the beer is like history. Like Arkham Reporter says, it's like culture. It's like living culture. Like a snapshot in time, as I say. And that is the image of America. So I wanted to do something positive for a change, rather than look at this city now. Oh, that building's not there anymore. No. So they're still standing. They're still making beer. All right, later.